I'm Jackie.
And I'm Ashley. Welcome back to Dumb Witch Club.
So we actually started this recording in the middle of a conversation that we were just having, which we were like, we need to record this.
Yeah.
You're going to be amazed. This conversation's so good.
You're going to be amazed.
They're going to be like, really? This is what you brought? This is what you brought to your YouTube channel? Great. Good job. No, okay. So I started off, I was telling Ashley, pet peeves, okay?
Yeah.
We have, I don't know, a few, right?
Yes.
One of them specifically that I was just talking about was I absolutely hate it. And look, this is a first world problem, okay? Like, I will give you that. That's fine.
Okay.
But I absolutely hate it when a company that makes a product that you have been purchasing for, let's say, years, months, whatever, suddenly, without any warning, they change the formula for the product, and it no longer performs as it used to perform, as promised, as desired. And then you are left with two things. One, the crappy result on the day that you first used it when it had changed and you didn't know.
Yes.
And so you're doing your thing and then you're like, what?
Yeah.
And then secondly, you're left without the product that you were relying on for so long. It's very frustrating, and this has happened to me recently. I'm very upset about it.
It's very disenchanting. Like, it literally feels like the rug got pulled from underneath you. Nothing makes sense anymore. No. Why is this happening? I mean, I think I can be a little bit histrionic about things like that, but I don't care.
Perhaps.
It's well, and I think the main thing is because you don't have control over it.
Exactly.
You cannot change it.
Nope.
You can't bring it back. No matter what you do, even if you write a strongly worded letter, it's not going to do anything. They don't care. You have no control. It's like, you know how those, like, they have those memes of, like, one day was the last day that you, like, rode your roller skates to Thrifty and got ice cream and you didn't know it.
Yes.
It's like that vibe.
It's like that.
Yes. It's like one day was the last day that you used that product the way that it was and you didn't know.
You didn't even get to know.
Okay, but what was it? Because I'm dying. You wouldn't tell me.
Well, so I don't know if I should call out brand names.
See.
But what I will say is it is mascara.
Oh, no. Oh, that's tragedy.
And anyone who knows me, or anyone who exists on this planet and uses mascara,
yes,
I think you have a very specific relationship with your mascara.
That's tragic.
And I am a makeup fan, and if I was stranded on a desert island and I had, like, one makeup product to bring, it would be lipstick. Okay, so to be fair.
Oh, for sure.
Choose
for you.
Lipstick. However, I'm in love with mascara, and I have multiple mascaras that I love and layer and use, and I had a favorite. It's not my favorite anymore because it's different. It's not the same. Made my lashes stick together, made them all chunky and weird. Yeah. Can you not see this? Don't look. Never mind.
No, they look beautiful. Your eyelashes always look beautiful.
No, not as beautiful.
I remember one combo that you used in the past.
Yes.
And that was like an elite combo.
I know. It was all feathery.
It was so feathery and so soft and, like, fluffy. Like, my whole goal with my mascara is for it to be fluffy. And you had these two, and they were like, but then they changed one of those.
I know. Exactly. And one of them, they didn't change, and then one of them they did, so I have no combo anymore. And now this happened again with another one. Yet another. Very frustrating.
That's horrible. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's actually a loss.
It is a loss. It is.
I know.
Well,
and I didn't need that today. I didn't need that today at all.
No, definitely not.
No. So it was a lot. It was a lot today. Obviously, it's not the only thing, but there was a lot more. And that was the last thing I needed.
Rude.
Super rude.
I hate things like that.
I know. Life's hard enough.
Seriously. And I mean, I thought we were, like, past the energy of eclipse season, but no.
No, this felt very chaotic, and it felt very, like, here's something else for you.
Yes, like, mischievous, like, and this. And you're like, really?
I know.
Yeah.
It makes me think there's, like, a bad witch doing something.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I don't either.
She must be ugly because, according to Glenda from The Wizard of Oz, only bad witches are ugly.
Oh, that's right. Yes. She doesn't like mascara, clearly. No. She doesn't want you to use it.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's terrible.
I know. It's awful. So anyway, that's the energy that I am dispelling away from me today.
That's
so
good.
that we can have a great episode.
I love that. But it leads right into us talking about what's going on.
Okay. Why though? Why though? Why was this so irritating to me? Ashley, my darling, please enlighten me.
Okay.
What is transpiring in the universe?
Yeah, there's still a lot going on. I think everybody was like, okay, yay. Like the eclipses are, I'd hate to say going away because they're not like going away, but like,
Oh, they're like finishing.
They're
this
finishing.
round.
They're finishing. We're moving on from that energy. So I think people, and when I say people, I mean me, we're like, okay, good.
I'm so ready for this.
Yes. We're
Same.
moving on. We're moving away. And then I think what was happening, what I was hearing from people, and I'm sure you were too, was like, okay, but what's happening now? Because
Oh, it's like, okay, so if this is not eclipse season energy, you know,
what is it?
messing with all of my shit,
Yes.
then what is it?
Yes, then what is it? Which I think in like our past episodes, like we kind of kept bringing up, okay, Mars is in retrograde still. It's going to be
Yes.
for a while.
Yes.
So just kind of like
Until March.
until March, yeah. So like not get used to it, but sort of, well, we need to become a little bit more just like comfortable with like that feeling right now because it's lasting, and so it's something that we're gonna have to deal with. But
Yes, and to that point, so Mars is in retrograde. It had been direct. It's gone in retrograde.
Yeah.
And it's been in the sign of Gemini.
yeah.
And as we talk about frequently, retrogrades, but also Gemini, have this like duplicity energy.
Yeah.
Where a retrograde in any planet, Mercury, retrograde, like everybody's favorite, it really means that you need to review, reconsider. We always like those words, rethink, reevaluate.
Sure.
But Gemini also has that same energy. Gemini's the twins, and it has this like, part 1, part 2.
For sure.
Do it once, didn't work, do it a different way. Like you're called to kind of look at things twice.
Yeah.
And it's sort of frustrating.
Yeah.
But when you understand it and you can work with the energy better, I feel like you can have more compassion for yourself.
Definitely.
And that's super helpful.
And I think that's kind of what we were saying, right? Like, okay, this is just, going to be happening. And so maybe looking at your specific charts, if you're into that, if you've gotten to that place, even if not, just sort of embracing, okay, well, this is the energy that's presenting to me right now. And so how can I sort of either harness it for what I need it to be or, transmute it when I need it to. And
Exactly.
I think the other thing that's just making that part feel a little bit more like fraught right now is that Mars is also out of bounds. So it's out of bounds and it's also retrograde. And so like it's all these messages are just like out there on the fringes and it's just a little bit, I know. It's kind of like the game of like the telephone thing, where you like say it and then somebody else says it and like by the time it reaches you, it's this like convoluted thing that like no one knows where that came from.
Yes.
It's like
and Gemini is about communication
Yes.
and it's about, kind of thinking and intellectual stuff.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Mars is about, people sometimes like to associate it in a negative way. It's about like how you fight or how you argue. And,
Sure.
Okay, it's that, but it's also, passion and
Yes.
there's communication involved in that as well. So yes, there's a lot of like, I feel like ideas floating around. There's a lot of things that like aren't really having anywhere to land.
Oh my gosh,
And they're kind of bouncing around. And it's like, I don't know, I want to like grab them and like make them land.
Yeah.
But and I think that's because my Mars is in Libra. So I'm like, hey guys, get here and let's just balance this stuff out.
That's such a good point for
I know,
you.
so wild.
Yeah. Check your Mars placements. That's a really good point for you. Yeah, mine's in Virgo, so...
Oh, so yeah, you hate this even more than...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like some of my only Earth in my chart, and it just like, hates things so much. I think we've discussed that before.
Yeah, for sure. So...
But yeah, so with that, just...
Thank you. That helps me understand
Yeah.
a little bit more.
Yeah, that's happening.
What else is happening?
What else is happening? Well, we're in the last, while we're filming this, we're in the last quarter moon phase.
Which means the new moon is coming.
It's arriving.
Yes.
It's coming. It's last quarter moon in Leo, which is squaring the sun right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and we're getting towards that new moon. But right now it's just not a time to do much with the manifesting. Like, just let it
ride.
Just let it.
Well, yeah, and like Leo has that fixed energy, so it's like just let it go. Let it flow. Let it flow. Let it ride there.
Reflect on the things that, we're coming up in the last new moon, and just sort of let it all sit with you for now.
Yeah.
But, that's also because we're asking why though, and I say that, but that's also really hard to do. Like, it's easier said than done. Like, just letting it rest and letting it process. Like, people really freak out about that. I think, like, usually when they ask us for advice, it's like, what can I do? What can I do?
Yes.
And we're like, maybe you don't need to do anything. And they're like, that's not an answer.
Yeah, it's hard. Just be with it. Be with the energy. Well, and this is also why I love how many different planets and sign and placements and all the things that are happening at any given time.
Yeah.
It's like we talk about that Mars retrograde energy, that Gemini energy can be pulling you one way or the other. But then there's this like glimpse of, this other energy that you can choose to focus on, that you can choose to draw from to kind of help yourself. And I say this also as having a moon in Leo. When the moon is in Leo at whatever phase, I try to like have awareness of that and try to like at least have like a little connection with like, oh, we're harmonizing. So it's nice.
No, and it's I'm really glad that you brought up the point of I try to recognize that and I try to like be aware of that, because Dumb Witch Club, right? We've talked about this before. We will just not know sometimes like what's happening. And it's like, and I get like some people say, well, that's the power of suggestion because, when you put it in your head, that's the only time. Yeah, but that's kind of true for everything. If
totally.
You kind of do need that reminder to shift your focus. It's not that it like causes it to happen. It just shifts your focus. Like, now you're like, okay, these are the things I need to focus on. And there's nothing wrong with that. Knowledge is power.
Yes, well, because all this stuff is out there anyways.
Exactly.
It's all out there. It's all happening.
Yeah.
So the more you know, like we said before. Yeah, I know. I always want to sing it, but...
Yeah.
Okay, now these answers are helping me, actually.
Good.
Because I really do. I find myself asking, and that's why we titled this segment, like, why though? Because it's like, what is going on?
But why?
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
But then it's like, oh, stuff's going on. Yeah. I can be okay with this.
So the main thing...
Yes.
This is a little crazy, so just stay with us for this.
Because
we're gonna explain it. It's still gonna be confusing, but we're gonna explain it, and you're gonna get it, and it's gonna make sense. But we've got...
I'm waiting.
Yes, it's okay. So like I said, the eclipse season, it's coming to a close. We're moving past that, but we have a Grand Trine happening.
Do we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a Grand Trine.
That sounds fancy.
It does sound fancy. It sounds like a ball.
It does. It sounds fancy and fun. Is it fun or no?
I don't know.
Okay.
It does sound fun. We're going to the Grand Trine.
Sounds not fun, actually.
It's very Bridgerton.
Yeah.
Which I feel like my top is kind of Bridgerton.
Yeah, no, it definitely is.
Fits, but
I know.
This is not
No, this is not that. Okay.
This is not that. So
what does it mean?
Okay. So, we have a Grand Trine in water. And what that means, it's a Grand Trine because we have water signs that have planets involved. We also have planets that are in these they're water planets. So there's all this water. It's like it's like 7 planetary bodies that are like involved in this thing.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And so what a trine is it's when 3 planets are 120 degrees apart, and so they form this sort of triangle, right?
Yes.
And it's a closed energy, so it kind of does feel a little bit like you're kind of bouncing around that triangle.
Yes.
Right? Which, okay, a lot of things you're going to read or things that people are going to say is like, well, it's this like beautiful sort of watery, flowy energy. If you have water placements, like that's going to feel like healing and stuff. Maybe.
Or
maybe not. Because also you could feel like you're drowning.
Oh, yeah.
Which, okay, I'm not trying to be negative by pointing that out. I get the other perspective, and I respect that. And certainly I feel like that makes a lot of sense, and it's well researched and everything, but there's a lot of planets out of bounds right now. We also have this Grand Trine, and the way the planets are sort of moving into this trine pattern, it's happening, like it's basically this whole week. I can see how that can be really good and really healing and everything, but I can also see how that would make you feel a little bit crazy.
Yeah, and I think the whole thing with astrology and trying to understand it, like obviously there's the personal implications based on your own chart and all of those different things, and there's also the sort of almost like world event stage that all of these energies are also influencing. And there's really just, for me, no way to say, oh, this whatever means something positive or negative.
No.
It's a lot about how it filters through, like, personally or, you know, events. And arguably there are some energies that are, you know, chaotic, or that are, you know, calm, or that, you know, are aligned, or, you know, comfy, cozy. And that's all fine and dandy. But when it comes to something complex like this,
right,
I think it's going to affect people very differently.
Yeah, well, and it kind of goes back, like, I'm really glad that you brought that up, because it kind of goes back to, you know, talking about the aspects, and things can get a little bit muddy there and a little confusing, but, you know, it's never good to be that black and white about things, like talking about a square, right? A lot of people kind of lend towards the, oh, that's conflict, you know, like, oh, that's bad, that's going to feel bad. It doesn't always feel bad. Sometimes you need that confrontation, you need that energy to move things along the way that they need to, and sometimes you really want that. You know, and sometimes it does feel bad. And so I just wanted to point that out, because I kind of want to validate people if they're feeling this way, because a lot of the messaging I've seen around this sort of Grand Trine is, it's this watery, wonderful thing, and, you know, it's going to be very sort of healing, and like take a bath and, you know, do these things. You can, and if that's how you're feeling, I love that for you.
Yeah, well, and even if you're not feeling that way, maybe that can help you to transmute some of that energy. Absolutely. But yeah, it's not automatically like that's just what's happening.
No. And me with the water placements, I was like, wait.
You're like, I'm not feeling any of that.
Wait, this is feeling a little bit nuts. And then when I started to look at, and I did map out, you know, how the trine was sort of going, like Mercury trining Neptune, Sun trining Neptune, Venus trining Jupiter, and how it's progressing. I tried to look and see, like, okay, what is that going to mean when we're in this phase? What is that going to mean when we're in this phase? And of course, I forgot all of it.
I know. The Dumb Witch Club.
I forgot all of it. Whatever. I can relook it up. That's the beauty of it.
Like, yes, I know. Never memorize anything that you can look up.
No, I can relook it up. And maybe I don't need to know all of that right now.
No, because maybe you got what you needed just by reading it. That's fine.
And I can, if I feel like I need to again, then I can revisit it. But yeah, so that's kind of like, you know, the hot topic right now that people are talking about is this.
Yes.
Grand Trine.
Grand
Trine.
The Grand Trine is here.
It's a lovely time for Grand Trine. I always enjoy Grand Trine at this time of year.
It also sounds like a food, like a dish.
Does sound like
Would you like some Grand Trine?
Sounds like a trifle.
Or a trout.
Or
I don't know. Okay.
A trout trifle. That's something that British people would make. A trout trifle.
A treacle trout trifle.
A treacle.
I watch great British baking shows, so I know these things.
Oh, man. Okay. We will have an episode on that, because that is the best show on TV.
It's so good.
Hot take. I don't care. I don't care if you disagree with me.
Nobody can disagree with that.
You can't. It's the most beautiful, calm.
It is. I cry every finale because it's so moving and beautiful.
It's amazing.
I know.
It's amazing. And the one with the kids, the junior bake-off.
Oh, yeah, we watched that too. I know.
It's so cute.
It's so cute.
I am obsessed with it.
Okay,
anyway.
no more. That is a preview of a future episode.
That's going to be amazing.
What? Okay, I don't want to cut you off at all.
No, that's...
Okay. So what I would like to do now...
Yeah.
Based on understanding all of this, learning more about why, though, I would love to do a card pull for today.
Great idea.
And we're going to use our same deck that we started using last time.
Yeah.
And
Good deck.
It's a great deck. It's our favorite deck.
Very good one.
I feel much better already. Let's see what wonder we have in store.
Let's see.
For our enlightenment.
Grand Trine.
All right, darling. Here you go.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. I feel like we get this card frequently.
Mm-hmm. We have been recently,
Yes.
for sure. In this season, I feel like we have been recently.
Yes.
So we pulled the grief card.
Grief.
Yeah. It is but a mere glimpse of nothingness hidden away deep within the chambers of your mourning in the red clovers birthing lost illusion.
Lost illusion. Yeah, I mean, grief can be about real things, losses, like when your makeup company changes your product.
Uh-huh.
But obviously, it can be much more than that. It can be all kinds of chaotic, transformative losses.
Mm-hmm. And it makes a lot of sense. We're moving, like I said, we focused on the Grand Trine, but we're moving out of that eclipse season. We're not out of that yet. We're not out of the woods on that yet. Everything that you had to transform, everything that you had to let go, and even in this stage before the new moon, that's kind of when you're doing that.
Well, and Scorpio season as well
sure.
is about, death and transformation and, so, oh man.
I feel like
I'm surprised by this somehow, but it makes sense.
I am too, because we got it so recently. I think what I'm trying to do, I say this as if I have this all figured out. I do not. I think what I'm trying to do with pulling that again is just focusing on, maybe that's just a reminder that, we are focusing on the right things. Because we really did make that a focus this season in some of our other pursuits as well that we do outside of this.
That we've had to say goodbye to and that we've had to move on from. That is true.
And it was literally the topic of those things. And we also, on another layer of irony, had to also, say goodbye to those things. And maybe it's just a reminder that that's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Okay.
And it's kind of not okay, but
Oh,
it'll be okay.
It's going to be okay. Everything is okay and not okay. Yike. Well, all right.
Yike.
Do we have any big witch energy left in us at all?
We do. We do.
Okay. No, we definitely do because we have each other and we're going to move on. So, big witch energy today. We are going to be talking about where to start with a witchy practice.
Yeah.
And I think we like the word witchy.
I do. Yeah.
We say that a lot.
We do.
So it's like witchcraft, being a witch. We'll talk about some of this stuff. But so today's basic beginner witch stuff. Where do you start? This is a question that we hear a lot.
Yeah.
That even if you're just on the internet or whatever, a lot of people are asking this question. It can seem really overwhelming and just almost, and I think it can seem scary if you're someone who has an interest, or maybe you feel a deeper pull towards maybe, maybe I am a witch, or maybe I could be a witch. And what is the difference between if you are one or if you need to become one? And it can seem kind of scary because I think our culture, society does not support this type of spiritual practice on a grand kind of scale.
Right.
So it can seem what am I, should I do this? Can I do this? Is it scary? Is it dangerous?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, scary and just am I allowed to?
Yes.
Can I call myself that? Will I be sort of welcomed into that space? And I think the main thing that we feel, and the whole reason why we're here and doing this, is to say that yes, you can, and yes, you are. That's
absolutely
why we're called what we're called. That's why we own that, dumb witch club moniker, because you are absolutely welcomed in this space, no matter where you are with your practices or your curiosity or anything.
Even if you don't have any practices,
you don't have any.
But you're just kind of I don't know, this stuff seems cool or different, or what does it even seem like? Exactly. Yeah, you don't have to know anything, and you can learn anything and everything at your own pace. To add to what Ashley was saying, we are not owners or gatekeepers on any of this, which is why, everyone is welcome. And
absolutely,
there are specific, more like religious or spiritual structures, systems, institutions that you can also participate in. But I think we have sort of a, free, eclectic kind of approach to our witchy practices. And we don't identify with a specific label or a specific group or a hierarchical kind of concept.
Yeah, exactly. And and if you do and you feel like you do align with those things and you like the structure of them, that's absolutely fine. And you should feel, I just encourage everyone to analyze how they feel in these spaces that they're going into. And if you feel comfortable, you feel welcomed, you feel that it's diverse, and you feel that there's a lot of critical thinking that is emphasized and encouraged, I would say that that's a wonderful space, no matter what it's called, no matter what, you decide to call it. I think that would be great. I think what's worked for Jackie and I, it's just very similar to other things in our life. We just don't really subscribe to a lot of labels. We don't really find that they define our relationship, the other relationships we have, things like that. So I think, like eclectic, I think is like the term that's used, I guess.
But other terms that you might hear are like pagan. Or occult sometimes.
Yeah.
Or Wiccan is a very specific sort of structure of sort of paganism. Yeah. And again, you can use or not use or look more into the specifics of any of that. And I think all of these things have validity. Yeah. And you also don't have to subscribe to any of those specific kind of definitions.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of the beauty of it, that you're not forced to. You can decide what's right for you. And I think that's the essence of being a witch, or, whatever term makes you feel comfortable, is that you get to decide that for yourself.
Yeah, and I think there's also the idea of like witch with a capital W and witch with a lowercase w, And again, that's sort of up to your interpretation, but it's like, I don't know what we even use. I feel like, obviously, Dumb Witch Club, there's a capital witch in there, but sure. I feel like in general, it's just a lowercase w for me. It's just, it's not like a rank or a title that I've achieved in some way. It's kind of just I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I'm a witch, like that.
Yeah. Just like a feminist. It's the same thing.
Exactly.
Pretty much. Yeah, and like Jackie said before, the word and sort of the terms around it, people can be a little bit apprehensive about them. Obviously, the word has a long history of a negative connotation. And so it's when, people are using it, it's sort of a reappropriation of the term. And some people are uncomfortable with that. And I completely understand that. If that's how you feel, I feel like we have been sort of comfortable reappropriating it and defining it for ourselves. And so that works for us, but it doesn't have to for you. Yeah,
no, and obviously and we're not going to get into a whole history lesson, but there's a very complex history with paganism, witchcraft, the terms associated, and, going way, way back, conflict with other religions coming in and, saying those practices were bad and devil worship and evil. And they really never were necessarily, or at least not in the way that they were accused of being. Obviously, like Salem, bringing up Salem again. Salem,
surprise.
Salem witch trials, that whole history in the United States, Puritanism, all of these things. So obviously there's a lot of history there. And I think reappropriating the term witch is what we and many others are doing in this kind of modern, I feel like there is like almost a resurgence of interest in these ways. And I think maybe it's because so many other systems have failed us that we are now looking back to things that have existed for a long time and that maybe actually are more supportive but had been given a bad reputation.
Yes, and certainly I think that, you know, people like us that are interested in doing the work that we're doing, I think they're realizing, you know, one doesn't have to be completely eliminated to allow for the other. There's ways for things to coexist very peacefully and in harmony as long as you are able to be open-minded and to critically think. There's no reason that your folk practices, your witchcraft practices, any of these things, your spiritual practices, that they should completely misalign with other types of religion at all. I mean, it all can exist harmoniously, and I think people are realizing that more and, you know, being able to diversify in that way. And I think that's wonderful. I love seeing that. Yeah,
and I think I know people, or we know people, and also know of people who consider themselves, you know, witches and also Catholic or Christian or atheist. And these things can coexist. These beliefs can coexist.
Absolutely. And it just lends itself to such a rich culture and a rich cultural experience. And it's amazing to see, and love to see people's interest in it, and love to talk about it.
So what would you say, what do you need first and foremost?
Such a good question.
To start a witchy practice?
I love that question because we really do get that question quite a bit.
Yes.
Usually after either like sort of the curiosity or people maybe being even a little bit surprised. That's generally the question that follows is like, well, how does one, you know, ensure that they, like, what do you need? What do I need?
Yeah.
Like,
and I think people expect this to be answered with like, well, here's a list of things for you to get and buy, and then you can start your witch practice.
Exactly.
But what is the answer truly for us?
It's you.
It's you.
It's you. That's really all you need.
Yeah.
It's just you. You, your intuition, your mind. The minute that you start thinking not even thinking about yourself as a witch or owning, you know, that title or any title, it's not even there. It's when you start thinking about tapping deeper into your intuition, your power, your skills, the unique things about you. When you start to center those things and start to think about how you could work with those things to manifest things in your life, that's becoming a witch.
Yes, exactly. Because you have the wisdom and the empowerment of all of the universe within you. And when you start believing that is magic.
That is magical.
Yes.
Yeah. That's all you need. You don't need a list of crystals. Crystals are great. We talk about them a lot.
We love crystals.
We love them. But you don't need them. You don't need, you don't need a list of things. It starts within you. And when you feel that pull towards that,
yeah,
that's what it is.
And yet there are tools that we
Absolutely.
use and that a lot of witches use in practice. So we will cover some of those things as well.
Yeah, because, it is you and you are the most important piece of the puzzle. If something feels right to you, something resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, then you know that it's not for you. And certainly that's where you should always turn, is to that sort of inner voice. But at the same time, we're human and we're fallible and we have very sort of specific worldviews in a lot of ways, and perspectives in a lot of ways. And so again, back to our previous comment about knowledge being power, it's so true. That's a really essential nature, I think, of being a witch too, is really exposing yourself to all of these different perspectives and ways so that you can decide what's right for you.
Yes, exactly. And it's really a journey, I think. It's not a like, oh, you wake up one day and you're like,
Right.
I'm a witch and I know everything about it and I'm going to do it all the time. I mean, obviously, we call ourselves Dumb Witch Club because we forget so many things. We don't pay attention. We pay attention after the fact and we're like, oh, we should have known that. So it's an imperfect practice. It's a journey and it's a very, I feel like, human path to be on.
Oh my gosh, totally.
Because while you are connected and connecting with the universe, it is a uniquely human thing to be able to do that in this way.
Totally.
I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And and you're going to make mistakes. There are going to be things that, you assume and then you realize you're wrong. We do all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be, certainly there's, another layer to it of, not just your sort of perspective, but your worldview in like the country you live in and, all of these things, your culture, your ethnicity, all of this stuff. And so it's important to know, what are these practices that people are doing and what are the things that are open to me? What are the things that are maybe close to me? Because those are part of a specific ethnicity, culture, race that I'm not part of. And so that's not something for me. And we've had a lot of conversation, probably we'll talk about this more later, but about like the colonization of a lot of these ideas and how we have that in us as much as you want to think that you've thought beyond that. That's going to contribute to the way you think about things sometimes. And so deconstructing that and unpacking that, it's a lifelong thing that you're going to do.
Definitely. And we really, we strive to avoid like appropriation and to check our privileges but, it's hard. You'd be hard pressed to find someone in America who hasn't benefited from colonialism.
Totally.
And especially if you're like generally white in any way, even if you're, not actually all white culturally or ethnically, if you receive that privilege, if you have that appearance. Anyway, we can deconstruct all of that at another time. But no, it's really important to mention though, because a lot of these practices are cultural or specific to like, different countries and ancestries, and it doesn't mean they're not accessible automatically to you, but you just want to check yourself and make sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's important to do so, and it's just part of the education piece of things. When you're going into something, you're feeling drawn to something, and you want to learn more about it. It's important to confront those things and to be willing to make mistakes and maybe be messy sometimes and ask questions if you're not sure. And this is always a safe space for you to do that. And so we want to emphasize that if you're not sure about things, that's why we're called Dumb Witch Club. If you don't know and you feel like there's no one else you can ask because you're afraid that they're going to judge you.
We will not judge you because we have asked a lot of dumb questions.
We will not judge you. We will not allow anyone else to judge you. That's against club rules.
Yes, there's very few rules, but that is one of them for sure.
Yeah, I don't really know what the other ones are.
It's okay. We don't have any, basically. There's a lot of ways to think about what it means to be a witch. Do you think that people are like born a witch or become a witch?
Why do you always ask such good questions?
I don't know.
You always come up with such good questions. Oh my gosh. Do you think people are born a witch or do they? Okay. I believe that every single human being is born with. Okay. I believe every single human being is an absolute miracle. And I think is born with an absolutely unique set of gifts and very strong intuition. And I think that as they start to experience life and things like that, those things are sort of removed from them. But yes, I believe that when you're born, we're just magical. I mean, even being this science even behind like how we manage to end up as a living human is like mind-boggling.
It's improbable.
It's completely improbable.
It's practically impossible.
Yes.
Except that it happens every day.
And it happens, and you're this amazing thing, and like what you bring to other people and relationships, it's nothing short of pure magic just that happens. So I have to believe that everybody who's born has that. I mean, of course they do. It's inside you. So yeah, I do. But I think, some people cultivate it and some people maybe choose not to. And I'm not saying that in a like, oh, they just choose not to. So, I mean, I get it. There's a lot of reasons why that might be sort of like out of you because of things that you've been through. So
yeah, no, I completely echo all of those thoughts. And I think sometimes there is sort of like a gatekeepery way to be like, well, if you have these things, it means you're born a witch, or you're a born witch. And it's like, maybe not. Like, that feels like the phrase of the day. But like, yeah, I don't agree with that notion. And I do think that not everyone has to identify with being a witch, but you're absolutely right. Every person is born with some spark of, just human divinity.
Yes. Oh, human divinity. I love that. That's really cool.
And I think we get disconnected from that. Like, life happens to us. People happen to us. And we disconnect and we think like, oh, I don't really know anything, or, oh, I'm not really that smart, or, oh, my intuition, it never works. Like, it gets me in the wrong situations, whereas it's probably really ignoring your intuition that gets you into those situations, and learning to honor yourself. And that's at the core of witchy practice. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter what your gender is. Obviously, we are female people and cisgender people in this world, which affords us certain privileges. We know. So we obviously come from that perspective to some extent. But people of all genders can be witches and participate in all of this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought up like that aspect of the gatekeeping part of, like, are you born a witch? Because when I was answering it, I wasn't thinking about that. But then
I wasn't thinking about that when I asked you either. I was genuinely asking it, like, what do we think about that? But then as you were answering it, I was like, oh, I think there's a way that some people use that question.
They do, because everybody's seen these sort of like online, like, how can you tell?
Yes,
if
there's these like quizzes.
Yeah,
or things.
I've looked at them because I get curious to see, sort of what, and they're all kind of the same. But it's a lot of like ridiculous things, in my opinion. Like, are animals just drawn to you? Like, no, hell no. Like, I love them. My cats run away from me. Like,
are you walking and like birds start circling you?
Yes. Are you Cinderella?
Oh yeah, exactly. There's like a horse that's suddenly following you down the street. Like, I know. What does that mean?
It's so inane. Like, things like that, or they'll say like almost like you have to have some type of like supernatural sort of like gifts, or like, and look, some of us have these things, but that's not why I'm a witch or how I'm a witch or anything. Right. It really is not about
I also love the ones where it's like certain like birthmarks, or was your hair in a certain like cowlick when you were born, or it's like, oh my gosh.
Yes. It's like,
and those things to me feel very much like the kind of superstition that led to demonizing,
such a good point,
witchcraft.
Because you could point to that and be like, see, look,
yes, and
that
then
dog's following her.
Exactly, that dog's following her. She's a witch. She's bad. That's why our crops died, or whatever.
It's ridiculous.
Like, I know. So it's like, it's dangerous.
Don't read those things. Don't take those quizzes. No, if you think you're a witch, you're a witch. You do not need those quizzes. And no, those things are just tropes. They're nothing. I mean, some of it might be true for you, but it doesn't have to be, is the point.
Yeah.
And also to your point about, intuition and things like that, like, that's definitely going to be an episode we have to do, because that's something that people often talk about, and it's something we often talk about is, is this really intuition that's speaking to me, or is this just anxiety?
Am I like paranoid, or am I,
I think that's something that trips people up a lot. So.
Absolutely. I think we should talk a different time more about like, what is intuition? How do you know when you're listening to it and things like that? And how can you get better at recognizing it and then listening to it and honoring it? Because I think that's really, really important.
Oh my gosh, it's so important, especially for people with crippling anxiety, like some people that are in here right now.
So, no names shall be named.
It's so hard to know. It's so hard to know. We are making sense of it. We'll help you make sense of it. We promise. We'll try anyway.
Yeah, we will try. We will try. That is the best we can do.
There's not a Grand Trine.
But there is right now.
Right. So that's why we're not trying. No,
we'll do it later.
We'll do it later. After the trine.
After the trine. We will try. After the trine. So there are some elements, I would say, that unite or kind of do sort of define like what a witchcraft practice could entail. So one of the structures that we really like is throughout, there's the wheel of the year, just like there's an astrological wheel. See, there's like themes here, lots of wheel things happening, connecting, going all the way around the circle, are the Sabbats. So Sabbats are like Sabbats. They're like holidays. And there's 8 of them throughout the year. And there's 4 major, 4 minor, but we like that structure because it's every couple of, weeks or months. Yeah. It's interesting. The largest gap, I think, between Sabbats is between Samhain and Yule, which is where we're at right now. So Samhain is Halloween, essentially, and Yule is the welcoming in the beginning of winter. So it's like the end of December, but it's associated, obviously, with, those other holidays that are around the same time. So it goes throughout the year. There's others. I had a list, didn't bring it out with me, so I'm going to go off my memory. It's kind of like the spring and the summer, and the winter and the fall, like when the seasons change. Those are major Sabbats. Yes. And then in between those, there's some other ones like on May Day and the beginning of February, kind of like signaling other, just kind of seasonal developments. Yeah. But I think one of our favorite ones is Beltane, which is May 1st. Yes. And it's sort of a spring one. The ushering in of spring is Ostara, which is the end of March. Right. So there's Imbolc, which is in...
Imbolc, and then Lunasa, and then Mabon. There's a lot of controversy about Mabon. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can maybe talk about that further, but that's definitely...
We can do a whole episode, like, going through each and every one of these and, like, talking about what they symbolize and what kind of rituals you can do around them and stuff like that. But anyway, just to mention, like, this kind of structure, the Wheel of the Year, is kind of an important part of what can unite, like, a witchy practice.
Definitely, and it just gives you some structure, and I think, like, what Jackie and I, one of the things we really liked about it is it helps us to mark the seasons and to sort of celebrate what is important and best about each of those. And
exactly.
It's like a way of marking the time and then having those celebrations, which is what holidays are supposed to be. And I like that because, a lot of times in witchy practices, like, you take things very seriously.
Yes, they can be it can seem, very serious and,
very serious.
Yes.
And so it's important to remember the times where it doesn't have to be as serious and you really can just celebrate and do the things that feel good to you and are meaningful to you and celebrate the people around you. And so, they're a wonderful part of what we do. I really enjoy the Sabbats that we celebrate.
Yeah, me too. So another major component, that kind of unites witchy people together is having an altar. So an altar, kind of similar to the way we were defining what you need in order to practice witchcraft or be a witch is just yourself. An altar is you also. You carry within you all of the things that you need. And an altar is a way to have like a physical representation of, whether it's a specific ritual that you're doing or it's just for, to honor the seasons as the holidays as they're coming and sort of represent, different concepts and ideas for that.
Yeah, it's a tangible thing that you can either do or not do. You either respond to or you don't. I love tangible things. I am a stuff girl. I'm a maximalist. I'm a maxinista. No, just kidding.
Yeah. But you do like stuff.
I do like stuff. I like stuff. I like cute little things. I like colors and soft and smell good and everything like that. And so I enjoy it. I enjoy curating things, especially very intentionally from creators and makers and things that I support and love. And I really feel that energy sort of imbued in them. I love, the things that you've given me and how that makes me feel and putting them there. And it also, I think I'm a person, not only do I like stuff, but I need a visual reminder because otherher's I just
forget about everything.
I will not. And I will get so just wrapped up in, the doldrums of stuff and like, this is just awful. But when I, right? If you don't have that. That's
No, I know. It gives you something cute and fun and nice to look forward to and like a reminder. So I think I was saying in a different episode, I sort of use my dining room table as an altar, and I have this tray or a different tray, and I have things that are on it, and it's, you know, kind of similar to what we have here. Sure. And I change it seasonally, or not even like intentionally. Like I don't change it on, it's the first day of fall. I mean, maybe I could, but I kind of just change it whenever I feel like it. And I kind of get the feeling of like, oh, like these are the colors, these are the kind of things. And then I'm like, oh, it's like, you know, changing. Put out different crystals, swap them out. And I feel like it's a really nice reminder. And I wouldn't say I particularly use it in that location for, you know, rituals or things like that. I tend to do a lot of those things outside.
Right.
You know, and we can get into that at another time too. We talk more about rituals and, you know, the various ways that those can be done. But anyway, so having an altar can be as simple as, you know, a tarot card deck that you have like against your mirror, and you look at it and you know that like that's your reminder about 100%. Something. Or it can be a little jar where you have your crystals, or a windowsill where your crystals are. It can be your bathtub where you have candles and you have whatever. I mean, it can be anything.
It can be an Altoid box, like a little tin Altoid box.
100%.
With little things in it that you just keep. I'm not judging. It can be anything.
Yeah. Definitely.
And yeah, that's the other, I think, point too, like with all of this that we want to make is, you know, you don't have to have a dining room table. You don't have to have an outdoor space. You don't have to have any of those things for you to have an altar. Some of you can't go outside. You don't have any outdoor space that's your own.
Totally.
Some of you don't have room for a table. Whatever it is, you know, wherever you decide that that's going to be. But I also think, you know, find a place where that's going to be for you. Like, even if it's the tiniest little place, I think the act of just owning that spot and saying like, no, this is where this is going to be. It's huge, because I have my little space for mine. It's on a bookshelf in front of a mirror, and that's sort of my spot, but I share my living space with someone. So, and it's great, and that's fine. Our energies intermingle, all that kind of stuff. But I love that spot, I'm in charge of that.
Yes.
And I am intentional about what goes there. And that's my little area. And I could easily make the excuse of like, well, I don't really have anywhere to put this. No, don't make that excuse. Find somewhere. Even if it's a little Altoid tin.
Yeah. Well, and I'm also thinking about people who maybe their family or people they live with do not support any of this exploration. And in that case, I would say,
good point.
You can still do this, but you might have to be even more subtle about it. Or if all you have access to is your own mind and heart, because nobody can ever get in there, you can do it there too. And that can look however you want it to look.
Yes, that's such a good point. Or even draw it in a notebook or something.
Exactly.
If you know how to draw. I do not know how, but
you could sketch something out. I mean, if you had to.
You could. Yeah, that's amazing. It's, it can be anything, and yes, an altar is you, essentially, and it goes where you go. So.
Exactly. Yes. Another sort of main component are spells. So I think spells are something that people can be scared of or be intimidated by, or have the idea that, you know, witches put evil spells on you or on things. And that's really not what a spell is. I mean, I guess theoretically it could be a spell like that.
It could be.
But, I mean, a spell really isn't that.
What is a spell?
I think a spell it's kind of like a prayer, if we want to use the terminology of other religious traditions.
I love that.
A spell is a way to speak into the world, into the universe, in communication with, you know, whether it's just the universe that you're speaking, not just, but, you know, whether you consider yourself to be speaking to the universe or to your ancestors or to your spirit guides. And it's a way to speak it and verbally put whatever it is out there, whether it's gratitude, whether it's an intention, whether it's a request for guidance, whatever it may be.
That's beautiful. That's perfect.
Thank you.
I love the way that you said that. I do think people are afraid of the word spell when I say it, sometimes people are very thrown off. I think they just like immediately picture Bette Midler.
Yeah.
They're like, no, don't do it. I wish I could turn people into cats.
I know that. Please do me first, okay?
No.
I want to be a cat.
If I can change you back out of a cat.
Okay, but I want to be a cat.
Okay, I'll think about it.
You know, have you heard that thing where dog owners wish their dogs were people, but cat people wish they were cats?
Oh, that's... I've never heard that. I've never heard that.
I find it very true, because I wish I was a cat all the time.
No, yeah, it's an amazing life. Come on. Come on. Amazing. Well, no, if I can change you back, I'll think about it. But
okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. I would do anything for you.
Thank you. We'll see.
Pretty much.
Next episode will be a cat sitting here.
Oh my gosh. Imagine. You just put one of the cats here.
I know.
I'm like, I did it.
I know.
It's like, no, you didn't. We don't believe you. She's there. I'm here.
And I'm like peeking out from the bottom.
It's
like,
great.
I'm not here.
Giving away all our ideas.
Dang it.
Shouldn't have said that.
Yes,
but I think people just hear the word. I think it's, just like witch. People hear the word and they're like, oh my God, what are you going to do? Yeah. Like they think black magic and whatever, and that it's this, negative thing. And it's not. It's exactly what Jackie said. It's a prayer, if you want to call it that. It's an intention. It's a, manifestation. I once heard someone describe, I wish I could remember who did this, because I'd love to credit whoever gave me this idea, but I don't remember. Someone said, like, it's just like when you blow out your birthday candles and you make a wish. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a sort of spell in a way. Like, you are speaking, obviously can't say it out loud because it won't come true, but you're speaking something sort of out of your desires into the universe and hoping that it happens. And I think spells just go a little bit beyond the hope to, what, if this is meant for me, I would like to draw this energy actively. Yes, it's an active thing to do, or to, if, I can bring some positivity about in this situation, that situation, whatever it is, let me use my energy to do so. Yeah. Let me pull that in.
I think there's another sort of misconception when it comes to spells, that like if you do a spell or you cast a spell, that just magically comes true.
Right.
And that is false. It's really more about trying to choose and draw and think through the energies and the things that you want. And that goes along with choosing to take actions towards those things that you want as well. Totally. Not just sitting in your room or wherever you are and like putting spells and wishes into the world and just sitting there waiting for them to like descend upon you.
Exactly.
Like, that's not the way that works.
No, that is not the way that works. That's a really good point, because I think people get frustrated by that. And there's a lot of sort of like parables and ideas about that, right? Like even people like praying. There's that whole story about like the guy in the boat and it's in the storm. He's like, God save me from the storm or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then like he sends like a helicopter and a thing, and he's like, you didn't take that. It's the helicopter. Like all these things.
He's like, I'm waiting to be rescued or by the Lord or something.
Yes.
And then it's like, well, what'd you think the helicopter was, and what'd you think the tugboat was, or whatever, right?
I butchered that completely.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the thing. Like, yes, you have these tools, your whatever, divine power you believe in or don't or whatever, but you have these tools that are given to you where you can make changes, you can exact change. There are things that you can do actively, and I think sometimes people think of spells as sort of the opposite of that, of it is just like a birthday candle wish, but it's not. It's more than that. You're tapping into that power that you have to make things happen and to change things. And no, you're not always going to get what you want, because maybe it's not according to the grand plan, so you're not going to. But just like a prayer that goes up but it doesn't necessarily get answered if it's not the right thing for you.
Yeah,
for the
or
world.
The answer is no, and you kind of have to accept that and decide, what else you should be doing rather than continuing to pine for something that isn't meant for you.
I don't like when the answer's no.
No? Sometimes the answer's no.
There's a few I can think of where the answer's no.
I know.
Lame.
But sometimes the answer's no temporarily.
Not right now.
Not right now. And then if you do the work, maybe the answer's yes.
Yeah, there's one cooking right now that... Cooking.
I'm like, oh.
We did it together. There's one that's...
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's one that's cooking right now that...
It's brewing.
It's brewing. Brewing's better.
Yes.
Why did I say cooking? That's
no.
stupid.
It's not stupid. It's just, I was surprised that you said cooking.
Nah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's brewing.
It's brewing.
I know.
And sometimes, yes, we put it out there. And sometimes you have to repeat them. It's all about your intuition, and you sort of, I would say you sort of get better. But, I mean, there's still going to be times where things aren't going to go your way.
I know.
But,
it's hard.
I feel with that one, that needs to just be left to do its thing. But sometimes you do feel like you have to repeat them. It's, again, not a perfect practice.
No, because nothing is perfect.
Nope.
I mean, we're kind of perfect, but that's different.
Yeah.
Practically perfect in every way.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, I think we're almost done with this list of kind of beginner concepts. The last one that I want to, and we have sort of mentioned this throughout, but just to kind of say, is rituals. Mm-hmm. Rituals can be connected with spells, but they're also distinct from spells, I would say.
Yeah.
And rituals can be done lots of different ways, big and small, for different reasons. Mm-hmm. And we will obviously cover that more specifically in another episode as well, mm-hmm. like in more detail. But mm-hmm. that's just sort of another main component. Mm-hmm. Are there any other main components that you would add for just basic beginner concepts?
I think that one of the things that is just very important, and it sort of ties back to things we've said, but I think should be said separately, is your intent is probably, if not the most important thing, mm-hmm. one of the most important things.
Yes.
Your intent. What is it that you want? What is it that you're trying to do?
Yes.
Who is it that you want to be?
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it that you want to be? Mm-hmm. I really like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I think that intent and that commitment to that and your intention behind that is the thing that drives everything else. And it'll mm-hmm. illuminate everything else to you mm-hmm. of what feels right, what you're drawn to, what things feel like magic to you. And that's different for all of us. That could be working with plants. That could be working with music. That could be, mm-hmm. Whatever. Makeup, mascara.
Yes, exactly. Cooking, animals.
Not cooking animals.
Not cook. Well, unless, I don't know, some people do that. Whatever. There's magic everywhere to be found, mm-hmm. I think. Mm-hmm. There's magic in, emotions. There's magic in sex. There's magic in all kinds of places, mm-hmm. everywhere. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, that's how you start.
So, I honestly wish that I had heard a list or information like this mm-hmm. many years ago mm-hmm. for myself, because I think and it's not that I have a problem with the journey that we've been on individually and together. Obviously, right. I love it. But it would have been really helpful to hear all of this and to kind of feel like, oh, you don't need anyone's permission, mm-hmm. but you have permission.
Yeah, I did. Oh, that's, really good point. You don't need it, but here it is.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever received that really. And that's not, I don't know, that sounds kind of like I've never had anyone be kind and welcoming to me in this space. That's not true.
Not entirely
We've
true.
For sure interacted with people that were very gracious and open and all that kind of stuff. But it just, I don't think we quite had that invitation, or I felt like it just felt overwhelming, and there just were a lot of things we didn't understand, and it mm-hmm. felt like a closed club. It felt like a club that I could not belong to for this reason, that reason, whatever it might be. And so I think, that does, as much as I don't want to admit that holds me back, and I want to act like I'm so self-actualized and like I don't care what anyone mm-hmm. says and what they try to do to me. I do.
Of course.
I do.
Yeah.
So I did care, and I wasn't sure, and it would have been very helpful to sort of just have a little bit of a primer and an invitation of just go ahead and start. Mm-hmm. Just take that step and you'll figure it out. But you're right, our journey is our journey, and we had each other, and so that's amazing, and mm-hmm. Wouldn't take that back. But yes, I'm glad we're able to do it for other people.
Me too.
Okay. Well, I think that wraps it up.
I think so.
Very cool. Stay witchy, friends.
And stay dumb.
Dumb Witch Club is written and produced by us, Ashley Sidner.
And Jackie Gerard at the Dumb Witch Clubhouse in Orange County, California.
Produced and edited by Matt Heinemeyer. Creative Director and Culture Consultant, Violet Turner.
Original music by Ashley Sidner. And look us up on all your favorite social media platforms, including Patreon.
Until next time, stay witchy, friends.
And stay dumb.